So my dad warped my mind from the age of 5, and he used a technique called Monty Python's flying circus, aka a deranged British comedy troupe. And I mean, yeah, great, Dad, you did a great job. I'm totally out of my tiny little mind. But all seriousness aside, I think this approach to parenting did lead to a sort of creative, experimental upbringing with a healthy appreciation for the absurdity of life. And fast forward ahead, now I'm back home after college, surrounded by friends and family and community, feeling loved and connected. I was painting and starting to exhibit my work. I had pink hair and a grunge band named after a Nirvana lyric. I had an amazing sales job. I don't know, maybe life was too good because one day when I came home from work and my wife said, "Honey, we're moving to Ethiopia," I thought, why not? Well, little did I know that in making that decision, I would end up losing connection with everything that I had ever known, and that I wouldn't come home again to live for 22 years. Halfway around the world, disconnected from everything that I had ever known, I nonetheless did my best. I created an entirely new job as a cultural envoy, doing creative projects for US embassies across the continent. I became a soap opera star, and I created Kenya's first comedy drama series. But inside and on a personal level, I faced a level of isolation that stripped away all tangible parts of myself. And I fell into a state of depravity, of disrepair, drinking to avoid the loneliness. I lost my father. I lost my friends, my network. I even lost my wife. And then one terrifying night, it all came crashing down, much more real than ever before, when I found myself tied up, dumped into the back of my own vehicle as all of my possessions were being emptied out of my house in a kind of horrible kidnapping/robbery. And I wondered if I would ever get home, or if I would ever get home alive. Well, as you can see, I did. At the end of that terrible night, my kidnappers handed me back my keys and they handed me my passport, and they said, "This has been great. We've got to know each other kind of. We should meet for drinks tomorrow night." They really said that, no cap. But I did. I made it back home finally. And I began to walk the nearby forests, and I began to slowly gain energy. And I sort of was aware of the rocks, the trees in these forests. They became almost like my church, my audience. I began talking to them. And they talked back and they said, "You really need to pull yourself together, Jason." But as I spoke to them and gained energy from them, I was able to rebuild myself with their help, piece by piece. Now, I was also lucky enough around this time to fall into a local job that had me interacting with hundreds of tourists every day, tourists from all over the country and all over the world. And it was like a beautiful reintroduction to my own people and my own land. And I unleashed one of the largest scale offensives of dad jokes ever known to mankind up to this point. And I took delight in interacting with them, and my old sort of sense of humor and sense of spontaneity started to come back to me again. And essentially, I gained energy from these people and from interacting with them and from being in close physical proximity to them. So, from this time of healing and reconnecting to home, two sources of energy presented themselves to me. And I figured out concrete ways to bring them into my daily life. So firstly, each other. A 2023 study out of Oxford teaches us that the greater the diversity of our microbiomes, the greater our health. So when we practice what I like to call social closeness, being near each other, near enough to actually exchange parts of our microbiomes, we actually gain energy. We literally need each other to survive. Coming together and creating safe and inclusive, family-friendly spaces brings energy to the entire community, whether it's holding outdoor live jazz events or dance competitions or generational mixers where Zoomers and millennials finally get to explain to boomers why they're wrong. But in addition to the physical side of social closeness, the emotional side is real as well. When we touch, when we hug, we get the chance to give love and to receive love. We get the chance to give love and to receive love. But there's another, even greater source of energy available to all of us every day, and it's literally right below our feet, the earth itself. A 2012 NIH study on what was then known as earthing teaches us that when we ground ourselves in a forest, literally just stand barefoot on the earth, we actually gain energy and it improves our immune systems. So if we're lucky enough to live near a forest or even just a bare patch of land, an incredible source of energy is available to us every day. So how do we bring these sources of energy into our daily lives? Well, I invite you, dare I say, urge you, if you can, to do 3 things every day to bring these energies into your life. So, number 1, I want you to take at least 15 minutes each day to do your grounding. Maybe consider doing your homework while sitting in the grass, or taking a walk across campus after class with your shoes off. Secondly, for social closeness, coming together physically, sharing space with friends, and in general, holding awareness that being near each other is actually good for us. Gathering brings us closer, and closer is healthier. And finally, on a more personal and emotional level, I want you to find someone every day that will hug you, that's happy for you to hug them. Whether it's in your family or your circle of friends, allow yourself to luxuriate in long, warm hugs with those you love or those who tolerate you. But as I alluded to earlier, the most essential act that we can possibly do for ourselves and for our well-being, and the act that we all crave the most, is to be able to give love and to receive. And in that spirit, I leave you with my own act of giving in saying, I love you.